Hi everyone, I'm Ms.G.PRIYANKA, Department of History, and today we are going to learn the topic about archaeology. So I'll directly move to the definition of archaeology now. So what does the word archaeology is derived from the Greek word, and archaeos means old. And I'll tell the definition now. Archaeology is the scientific study of people of the past, their culture, and their relationship with their environment. Archaeology means we will learn about the past and the cultures of the ancient people and how they evolved during the periods. Okay, how we will find those things by excavation and by what are the sources we can learn the past materials is from literary sources, artifact, and the inscription, numismatics, and the foreign accounts. Okay, now we'll move to the another definition. So what is the purpose of archaeology? The purpose of archaeology is to understand how humans in the past interacted with their environment. So what is the purpose? How the people in the past times they interacted with the environment, because they don't know the well knowledge and they don't know about the environment, how they reacted and how they developed, how they lived, everything. So we will learn how they emerged and what are the things they know by using of archaeology. So how they interacted with their environment. So environment is drastically changed over a period, and how they manage the period. Those period we will learn from the archaeology sources only, and the finding of the things and materials how they use. Okay, and to preserve this history for present and future learning. So by those learning only we can know how we will live. We can live during coming future period. Okay, it is necessary for us to preserve the old records which will be useful for us in the future times. Okay, again I repeat the purpose. The purpose of archaeology is to understand how humans in the past interacted with their environment and to preserve this history for present and future learning. So next, who is called as the father of archaeology? Can you guess? I'll tell the answer. Alexander Cunningham. So Alexander Cunningham is the first Director General of Archaeology Survey of India. So he is also the father of archaeology and also served as the Director General of ASA. So and also he called another name as the father of Indian archaeology. So his role in archaeology is very important, and he developed the archaeology in many ways. We will see the aims and objectives. The main objective of archaeology is to learn more about past societies and their development of the human race. And next, understand the human behavior. So what is human behavior? The way they talk, the way they react with the environment, the way they lived, cooked, and how they cultivated, how they transformed into urban areas, etc. Comes under human behavior. So main theme of this archaeology is to understand the human behavior. So next is archaeologists used for patterns of the evolution of cultural events to understand why they occurred, such as the development of farming, emergence of cities, or the collapse of civilizations. So reconstructing history. So archaeologists expect to reconstruct the history of past societies, determine how people live, and understand why societies change over time. I repeat, what is meant by reconstructing history? Archaeologists excavate to reconstruct the history of past societies, determine how people live, and understand why societies change over time. So next we will see the preserve cultural resources. Archaeologists is advocate for the preservation of cultural resources. Next, we'll move to the topic of what is the goals of archaeology. The main goal of archaeology is to understand how and why human behavior has changed over a time. Next, archaeologists search for patterns in the evolution of significant cultural events such as the development of farming, the emergence of cities, or the collapse of major civilization, or for clues why these events occurred. Next is function of archaeologists. The who is called as archaeologist is the person involved in the work of archaeology and excavation and finding the old past society's artifacts, and is those people working on it is called as archaeologists. So they have a certain functions. Let us see the main functions of archaeologists now. First is archaeologists are persons. So who is archaeologists? Archaeologists are persons who study objects of the past. They study the remains of buildings made of stones and paintings, the way they use the bricks for building the houses, drainage, etc. and sculptures. So who is archaeologists? Archaeologists are the person who study objects of the past. They study and next they study the remains of buildings, bricks, paintings and sculptures, etc. They also explore and dig the earth in order to find archaeological tools, weapons, parts and vessels, ornaments and coins, often behind from past civilization. So what are the things they find out? Tools, weapons, parts, ornament, coins and sculptures. Okay. So next we move to the important and necessary steps in archaeology, that is excavation. So what is meant by excavation? Excavation is the act or process of digging, especially when connecting specific is removed from the ground. I repeat, excavation is the act of process of digging, especially when something specific is being removed from the ground. So when archaeologists use the method of excavation in every time while we digging, we will use the excavation method, and there are many types of excavation. We will use the excavation according to the situation and earth conditions. Okay. Next is archaeologists use excavation to find artifacts and fossils. There are many types of excavation, but they all involving digging holes on the earth. So every type, the aim is same. We want to dig the earth to find the most renewable artifact which is inside the earth. So let us see the types of excavations. The first excavation is stratigraphic excavation. Next, rescue or salvage excavation. Next, area excavation. Next, salvage excavation. Next, artificial excavation. Next is horizontal excavation. So we will now see the type of excavation briefly and that it is definition. So now stratigraphic excavation. This method focuses on understanding the different layers, strata of soil and sediment at the site. Archaeologists meticulously record the sequence of layers and their contents as the stratigraphy can reveal this relative chronology of artifacts and features found within them. Rescue or salvage excavation. This method is often conducted in response to construction project or development works that may disturb archaeological sites, rescue, disturb archaeological sites, rescue excavation, aim to quickly recover and document as much information as possible before the site is destroyed. So these excavations are carried out on a right schedule and require efficient and careful techniques. Why these much techniques carefully we want to do is because we should not damage the artifact which we are digging. It should not be any destroy should happen to that artifact or anything. Okay. Next is area excavation. This involves operating in larger area of site. So when area excavation is used, it is used when the area is so large. Larger areas of a site to gain a broader understanding of its layout and occupation patterns. Area excavations allow archaeologists to study how different structures and features relate to each other and the overall site plan. Next is selective excavation. In situations where the entire site cannot be excavated due to time or rescue constructions, archaeologists may opt for selective excavations. When this selective excavation is used, when the environment is so bad, if we dig, it may cause any destruction to the artifact. We will select some parts of the land which we are confident that anything will be gained from that area. So we will select that area and we will start to dig. So that is known as selective excavations. They carefully choose specific areas or features to excavate, focusing on those likely to yield most valuable information. Next is vertical excavation. When this method is used, this method involves digging deep into a single area to expose a long chronological sequences. So what is meant by the term chronology? It is meant by the order or time sequences. It is useful when trying to understand changes in occupation or activity over an extended period. Next is horizontal excavation. In contrast to vertical excavation, horizontal excavation involves exposing a large area at a shallower depth. So when a horizontal excavation is used, we expose and excavate in a larger area when we want to use the method too deep to dig into the environment. So when we want to use dig so deep, we will use the horizontal excavation method. This is useful for examining the extent of a particular layer of feature and how it extends across the site. Next is underwater excavation, an interesting topic. So, what is meant by underwater excavation? When do we use the underwater excavation? We use the underwater excavation when we want to look deep into the soil or maybe ocean or lake or river, etc. So, there are many possibilities of finding the things under the ocean, river, etc. Whatever comes under water. Because, for example, you will find the Dwaraka under the water as well. So, we will also use the method underwater excavation, but it is rarely we will use that excavation. Let us see the definition now. Archaeological site submerged under water such as shipwrecks or submerged settlement require specialized excavation techniques. These may involve using dredgers, So there are some particular way of tools used for underwater archaeology, and there are also techniques which is only apt for using the underwater archaeology. Let us see the tools and techniques. So the main techniques was using the dredges and remotely operated vehicles, ROVs. So what is meant by ROVs? Remotely operated vehicles or divers equipped with excavation tools. So one who dived into the ocean to look into the under the ocean to find any artifact or buildings. They also carry the excavation tools along with them, and they dived into the oceans. Next excavation is remote searching excavations. Before starting a traditional excavation, archaeologists often use remote sensing techniques like ground generating, LIDAR, or aerial surveys to identify potential buried features or organelles. This information helps target specific areas for excavation and optimize resources. So this information helps target specific areas for excavation and optimize resources. Next excavation is experimental excavation. In experimental excavation, archaeology researchers recreate past conditions to better understand ancient techniques, materials, or processes. This type of excavation aims to best hypotheses about the past and gain insights into how certain artifacts or features were created or used. Then there are several methods of excavation. Let us see the methods of excavation. Previously we saw the types of excavation. Now we will move to the topics of methods of excavation. The first method is auger or coring method. What is auger or coring method? Next is trial excavation method. Next is vertical method. Next horizontal method. Next quadrant method. And the next is open area method. And next is step trench method. So what is meant by auger coring method? So how many types I say? There are 8 methods of excavation. I repeat the names: auger or coring method, trial excavation method, vertical method, horizontal method, quadrant method, open area method, and step trench method. So what is meant by auger coring method? The auger and coring method also can help in the case of prehistoric sites that are buried underneath the thick natural deposit. However, this method can destroy the archaeological remains, objects, and architecture. It should be used judicially and only when the conditions are inevitable. It is useful for achieving samples from buried sites and also from the lowermost part of the vertical range, where normal excavation would not be possible because of lack of space. It is sampling method used to understand stratigraphy. Next is trial excavation. Trial excavation is a sample excavation method. What is? It is a sample excavation method used to understand the nature of an archaeological site to contrast and cultural materials so that further action could be undertaken in future research. And for formulating research problems and designing research. So this trial excavation is often part of a regional research strategy, and the method can be used for several purposes. It is only a trial and it may be taken to represent the nature of occupation at the entire site. Trial excavation done with utmost care at several sites can produce much different set of data than the horizontal or vertical excavation conducted at a particular site. So therefore, trial excavation should be searched as an important method. What is trial excavation? Should be seen as important method for understanding the cultural sequences from a regional scale. In this method, we normally design manually there a thick natural deposit lying above the cultural deposit. In such context, machinery could be the use. This method is used. Next is selection of the site. How we will select some sites? We select the site by gaining the record from literary or any materials. We first dig in a first strata, and we will move to further steps. So let us see the selection of the site. The sites are selected for trial excavation. The response upon the objective of the excavation. Normally, the trial trench is excavated in the most present of the site to understand the total cultural sequence of the site. These trenches can also be excavated in the boundary and in any area of the site or landscape that be suspected to have archaeological materials or other types of data. Sometimes, even after reaching the natural soil below the cultural layer site, the trial excavation is undertaken in order to understand natural stratigraphy below the cultural layers. It can be used to trace the continuity of brick structures that are exposed in the trench in other areas of the site. Similarly, the continuity of fortification and boards could also be tested using this method. So with this section, I'll finish the types of excavation and methods of excavation. Next class, I'll tell about the area of the trench. Okay, thank you, students.